One day in 2011, deep in the bowels of Wizards of the Coast HQ, a team of young designers sat around a table. The mission? Create a mechanic worthy of Timmy, our beloved power gamer, the patron saint of the big and beefy. What follows is a factually accurate and historic account. Alright team, we need a mechanic that gets Timmy excited, said the lead dev. It's an open pitch, shout out ideas. What about keywording fight and putting it on big beefers? Too removal heavy, that's spike territory, we want something bigger. Let's tie combat stats to weight and size. What is this, Pokemon? What if the cars roar with tiny speakers? That's not a mechanic, that's just noise. Another voice chimed in. Okay, hear me out. What if we gave them massive, enormous, girthy? The lead dev groaned, rubbing his temples. We need something simple, catchy. And that's why giving them all giant noses will appeal to Timmy. Thank you, the lead said, cutting him off. Then, clack, clack, clack. A pen hit the marble floor. All eyes turned to a frozen intern. You, ideas? Well, Timmy likes big creatures, right? Right. So what if he could play them twice? Holy shit. And thus, the ultimate Timmy mechanic was born. Monstrous debuted in Theros, a plane inspired by Greek mythology where gods, heroes, and monsters roam. Some cards channel myths like the Nemean lion, or have real-world analogs like the Colossus of Rhodes. Despite not returning to the mechanic for a full set since its inception, WotC likes to sprinkle it into products here and there, which I believe is a tribute to how flavorful and powerful it can really be. The mechanic is simple. Pay a, usually very large, cost. If a creature isn't already monstrous, it gets +1/+1 counters and becomes monstrous forever. One shot, one opportunity, mom spaghetti, etc. What exactly happens during monstrosizing varies hugely. We've got targeted removal, goad, lifelink counters, tapping, tokens, burn, board wipes, 100 creature blocking, island walking, literally nothing, you name it, we've got it. The main strengths of the mechanic are 1. Decent bodies and stats, 2. Versatility, 3. Individually quite powerful effects, but on the flip side you've got 1. Highly telegraphed effects, 2. Very expensive effects, and 3. Easily preventable effects. To compensate for these downsides, my monstrosity build has more control potential than a traditional stompy deck. We'll be doing our best to accelerate and cheat on mana cost, but we also need to actively decelerate our opponents. It's fine to adopt a 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach here. FBI advisory warning. This is a bracket 2 deck. We'll explore ways to juice it up for bracket 3, but the core build is a fair telegraphed Timmy engine. The creatures! A general mistake with decks built around a single mechanic is that people try to build it like slivers. They include every card with the keyword they can. What you get isn't synergy, it's a junk drawer. Just because it says monstrous doesn't mean it belongs. We need to analyze what all the best cards actually have in common, and in Monstrous's case, is that they're both big and destructive. What we need to think about is a possible win condition. They are big, so why not use Chandra's Ignition and combat boosting enchantments like True Conviction and Garrick's Uprising to push through our damage. They are also expensive to cast and activate, so let's cheat them into play. Therefore, my build runs a highly selective group of the very best monstrosities and uses Essica, or better said, the Prismatic Bridge, to find them for free. These elite few chosen monsters fall into 2 camps. In the interaction camp, we have Grim Gigantosaurus, Protector of the Wastes, Calemnis Captain, Alpha Deathclaw, Death's Kiss, and Hythonia the Cruel. Big bombs that also blow stuff up. Then, in the big booty corner, we have Colossus of Akros, Giggling Skitter Spike, Hero's Bane, Etched Monstrosity, and Atali, Primal Conqueror? Wait, half of those don't even have Monstrous. Or do they? If we consult my Monstrous alignment chart, we can see that they all have activated abilities that make them bigger and then do a thing, making them certified honorary monsters. Is Hero's Bane ability not simply a repeated monstrosity effect? Does Etched Monstrosity not have the word monstrosity in its name? Does Atali's effect not essentially just add some counters to him and give him some more keywords? Case closed. A little piece of spicy side tech, Vitality Hunter, not a win con but can give multiple creatures lifelink, turning games around fast. Ramp and value. We've got all our classic green ramp like Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, Cultivate, and Open the Way, as well as our Soul Rings and Arcane Signets, but what we're looking for more than just ramp are ways to get our creatures in the field without having to spend mana on them in the first place. To help us cheat, we're using a few tricksy cards. Number 1 is Eldritch Evolution, which turns our lesser monsters into bigger ones. Sack a 6-drop to get Colossus and go for the win. Birthing Pod is also a viable option, but doesn't allow you to jump 2 CMC at once and has an upwards facing CMC restriction, so it is slower and can't downgrade the creature in a pinch. Next is Wilderness Reclamation. Now that Seedborn Muse is a game changer, we're hanging out with her little brother instead. He still gets the job done. Passing with all your lands open is very powerful, especially with all the instant speed spells that we're playing. This can easily get you an additional 2 activations of Hero's Bane in the mid game. Then we've got one with the Multiverse. Budget Omniscience, but easier to cast. Feel free to swap this for Omniscience if you think you'll be able to get to 10 mana often enough. This frees up your lands to go ape with monstrosities. The most important cheater is our commander, the Prismatic Bridge. We're going to try and land this on turn 4 every game and then hope to keep it alive. This will get us one monstrous creature every turn and leave our mana open for better things. We're skipping Training Ground style cost reducers. They don't pull their weight often enough. I'd rather run another Rampant Growth effect. Interaction. We've got our bombs and ramp, so what about our interaction? I'm including both removal and protection in this category, so Swords to Plowshares is just as valid as a heroic intervention or a counterspell. I've recently become obsessed with Crackling Doom-esque edicts, so please do excuse my potential over-inclusion, but I found them very good at bracket 2. At this power level, usually the biggest creature your opponents have is also the problem. Edicts get around all forms of protection besides phasing, and perhaps that one cigar to player, and 3 for 1. It's like a very, very tiny board wipe that doesn't draw much hate or reset the board entirely. If anything, the fact that everyone sacrifices makes it feel rather impersonal, especially as technically speaking, it's the opponent who is sacrificing the creature. You've done this to yourself, clearly. We're playing Crackling Doom, Soul Shatter, Aloran Searing Light, Will of the Abzan, and Gix's Command. The first 3 are rather similar, whereas the last 2 double up as Reanimation or Recursion. And don't overlook Gix's Command's sneaky lifelink mode too, that can be super clutch in a battle cruiser meta. In terms of non-creature wipes, we've got Ill-Timed Explosion, Blasphemous Act, Ondu Inversion, Vandal Blast, and of course Chandra's Ignition on top of the aforementioned creatures. Our spot removal consists of a Swords, Collective Resistance, Anguished Unmaking, Fell the Profane, Baral's Expertise, Sundering Eruption, Stump Stomp, and a few of those creatures. A nice mix of creature and non-creature removal then. Bear in mind that Protector and Deathclaw both trigger on ETB and when they become monstrous. We need to stay safe, so we're packing heat, or cold, here too. Heroic Intervention, Flawless Maneuver, Dawn's Truce, Swiftfoot Boots, Stubborn Denial, Collective Resistance, and lastly, Sterling Grove to protect the Prismatic Bridge or to find True Conviction in a pinch. Please note, our strongest creatures have inherent protection via Indestructible. Draw spells. Our draw spells are partially big creature based like Return to the Wild Speaker and Richkar's Expertise, but we're also using Painful Truths, Honorary MDFC Lorien Revealed, Black Market Connections, the activated ability on Etched Monstrosity, Garrick's Uprising, Temur Ascendancy, Ill-Timed Explosion, and my new obsession, Tempt with Bunnies, which is usually a 3 mana draw 4 that also creates 4 chump blockers. We're using a budget 5C base. There are 2 solid approaches you can take here. Run all 10 typeless triomes with all the cheap 5C mana fixing you can find and some basics, or play the 10 MH3 fetches with a lot of basics and the basic check lands. The advantage of the triomes is that you will be able to move between colors more easily, but the downside is that they enter tapped always. The upside of the MH3 lands is that they can be untapped colorless sources, but if you choose to use them as colored mana, you've essentially played a tapped basic land. Pick your favorite approach. I currently run the triomes, mainly because I have a foil playset. Besides the mana fixing, we've got 3 special includes: Hideaway Timmy All-Stars, Mosswort Bridge, and Spinerock Knoll, Reliquary Towers so you don't have to discard hand size, and Murmuring Bosk to have a fetchable triome via Nature's Lore and 3 visits. Playing the deck. You'll want a hand with at least 2 lands, one being able to generate green, and at least 1 ramp spell, ideally a 2 mana one. You do not want any creatures in your starting hand. You're aiming to get the Prismatic Bridge online by turn 4 so you can get your monsters for free by turn 5. If you stumble with your colors or draw, try to control the board with your removal and continue ramping. If you nail the bridge, you can move on to the next step of the decision tree, which is reacting to your bridge hit. If it's Colossus, Skitterspike, or Hero's Bane, defend them. These creatures are your key to victory. Leave mana open to protect them rather than play further to the board. If you hit an interactive body like Caleminus Captain or Hythonia, evaluate if you think you'll want to trigger their Monstrous ability soon. If not, play more bodies to the board or continue ramping. If the bridge gets removed, try to reset the board before replaying it, or if you were lucky enough to draw one of your key creatures, ignore the bridge entirely and try to stick a chonker. Either beat down with True Conviction, or work towards Ignition. Your moment of ultimate glory comes when you have a monster-fied 2020 Colossus, 6/6 Skitter Spike, or an infinitely large Bane, and can safely do the thing. Skitter Spike has extra synergy with a few of our MDFCs, the best one being Legion Leadership that will trigger Skitter's ability and then double its power, meaning it will deal 18 total damage to your opponents at a single turn. If you get seriously lucky in Magical Christmas Land, you can even go 6/6 Skitter Spike, Legion Leadership, Ignition, Attack, which is 42 damage to your opponents each. The same thing works in Colossus, where the 2020 will go to a 40 power creature and then deal 40 damage. Flipping Atali and igniting him to clear a path for a one-shot kill is also a good way to eliminate one player. Keep in mind you can't get an instant table-wide infect win out of this, as Atali's poison only triggers with combat damage. 4 small tips to round out this section. 1. Use Gazul's Fury to get people with a fling. 2. Use Noxious Revival to put a creature on top of your deck from the graveyard at instant speed so it gets revealed by the bridge. 3. If you feel like an opponent is holding up removal to hit one of your creatures for when you monstrosity it, just don't. Getting them to keep mana open is slowing them down too. 4. Use Bring to Light to pull Ignition out of the deck. Alternatively, you can use it to find Skitter Spike. Your meta, card choices, and powering up. As always, your pod's meta is crucial to your build. You know what to expect at your tables better than anyone, so adapt your build to reflect that. If your meta is removal heavy, I'd advise cutting down on your own removal and adding more protection effects. Let someone else police the board and just go for the win. On the flip side, drop the protection stuff for more ramp if you're in a greed meta. If you want to power the build up, there are 4 main aspects I'd tackle. 1. Add Teferi's Protection for your Guardianship. 2. More tutors. 3. The Wandering and Trouble Impairs are good in any slow deck. Last March of the Ends can also be neat. 4. Just build a better mana base. This will push the whole deck a turn ahead if you don't have to deal with tap lands. But please do remember, this deck has a ceiling. Even fully optimized, you're still trying to spend 25 mana across multiple turns to win with the 2020, just like the venerable Timmy gamer you are. Thank you for watching, and stay monstrous, my friends.